of alchemy. powers of alchemy.
All right, y'all, we here, man. What's poppin'? What's going on? Good evening, everybody. Happy Tuesday to you. This is your man, your brother, your homie, Frank. You know what I mean? Coming to y'all with another edition of View from the Man Cave. So welcome. Welcome to View from the Man Cave, a place for honest, intellectual, and informative dialogue and discourse about all things related to masculinity and manhood, responsibility and respect, provision and protection. So let's talk about it. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. All right, man. I hope everybody had a good weekend. Hope everybody's is safe. I hope if you're under the sound of my voice right now, you're in a good space. You're in a good place. It's good to be back. So last week, you know what I mean, I did a recording. I did a recorded video, some recorded content for y'all last week because I was on vacation with the family. My wife and I, we took the kids out to Puerto Rico. We were in Puerto Rico all last week from Monday to Sunday. Got back late Sunday, got back home early Monday morning. But we had a great time, man. The kids loved it. We had a ball out there. So just took that time to spend with the family, kind of bond, kind of come together, take a break. It was spring break last week here in Maryland, so the kids were out of school anyway. So we just decided to do something, fun, get the kids out, put them on the beach, put my wife on the beach, let them run around, put their toes in the sand, all that good stuff. So we had an incredible time out there, man. The babies, they didn't want to come back. It's just, it is what it is. But we had a great time, man. A lot of excursions, a lot of reservations at some nice restaurants, some nice eateries. Did a little bit of everything out there, man. Some rainforest tours. We hit the beaches, of course. Rented a boat. Had a little private tour on the boat. Hit Old San Juan up. We did some UTVs. Some all-terrain vehicles out there with the family and stuff like that. So I'm gonna put that out there for y'all, and I'm gonna make a little video. I'm gonna put some of my favorite pictures together and do a little video and drop it on the tube. Just to show love and just to let the people know how we were living, how we were doing out there. But we had a great time, man. Just great time. There were so many things to do. So much. You can't do it. You can't do everything in a week. But again, we had a great time. So it was good to kind of build with my family and, just take some time away for a minute. But I hope y'all enjoyed the recorded video that I did last week, about brothers being honest, coming out of the closet and letting people know, letting ladies know that, if you're a brother who is into, having more than one woman, just be honest about it. So I hope y'all enjoyed that. So I'm going to get into a few current events out here, and then we're going to get into our topic tonight. So what's going on, man? What's going on in the public right now? So I saw the brother, DMX, is in the hospital right now fighting for his life. So I'm just putting out prayers, to that brother. I hope he's able to pull through. Last I heard, the brother was, they were saying that the brother was, could possibly be brain dead. For those who don't know, he had an overdose. The brother has struggled with substance abuse for a long time since he was 15 years old. Since he was 14 years old, I believe. He's told a story numerous times, in the public, about, how he got hooked on crack cocaine and things like that. But if you don't know, and if you want to know, if you want to hear from him, BET did a docu-series on the Rough Riders. We all know the Rough Riders. If you are old enough, you were around during the late 90s, early 2000s or whatever, Rough Riders were one of the biggest, most influential rap crews in the game during that time, with DMX, Eve, The Lox, Dragon, Swiss Beats, a few other cats, but, they were popping real heavy, during a certain time in the rap scene. It was them, it was Rockefeller, it was Murder Inc. They were the top three crews, putting in work at a certain period of time. So if you watch that, docu-series on BET, DMX kind of breaks it down. He kind of goes into how he got caught up in, in the drugs and his struggles and battles with substance abuse. So the brother, he had an overdose, and he got rushed to the hospital. They tried to resuscitate him. Word was that it took him a long time to resuscitate him, about an hour. And so right now, last I heard, rumors were swirling around saying that the brother might be brain dead, possibly brain dead. So I hadn't really heard anything new, but, my prayers go out to the brother, you know what I mean? And I hope that he can bounce back, man, you know what I mean, from that. So very, very passionate brother, very, very talented brother. So it would be a shame for him to waste that, you know what I mean? But I hope he can get back on his feet. I believe in him. I believe the brother can do it. So, you know what I mean? So prayers go out to DMX. So what else, man? Oh, so, I saw the verses, you know what I mean? The last verses, that was dope. You know what I mean? With the Isley brothers and Earth, Wind and Fire. You know what I mean? I'm more in tune with the Isley brothers music, you know what I mean? But they're two heavyweights, man, two legendary groups, you know what I mean, who've paved the way for a lot of groups, you know what I mean, even in the hip hop scene. Y'all know I'm a hip hop fan, so a lot of brothers who are in hip hop, have sampled the Isley brothers, have sampled, Earth, Wind and Fire. So they've added on to the culture in a major way. And it was dope to see two legendary groups do a versus. So nobody really won, man. The culture won, you know what I mean? Music fans won, you know what I mean? But yeah, so that was good to check out there too. So let's get into it tonight, man. You know what I mean? Let's go straight into it. So finding your way back, man. Finding your way back, in a relationship after you and your partner have grown apart. It's a very important subject, something that I wanted to tackle, something that I wanted to talk about, give some of my personal experiences, as well as some of the experiences that I've seen from people that I care about, people that are close to me. So it is what it is. But at the end of the day, man, relationships, like I said in the description for this video, relationships are like tides, man. They ebb and they flow. You know what I mean? They're high, they're low. You know what I mean? You go through good times, you go through bad times. Your money's right, then your money's not right. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. But, over the course of a relationship, things change. You know what I mean? And change is a good thing. You know what I mean? It's not, change is a good thing. If you are not changing in your relationship, then you're not really living. You know what I mean? Change is growth. You know what I mean? And growth is change. So if you're somebody, like, I've been in a relationship, I've been married, y'all know, for a long time, for almost 15 years. It'll be 15 years this coming August. So I'm not the same person that I was. You know what I mean? I'm not the same person that I was 15 years ago. I'm not the same person that I was 15 months ago. You know what I mean? I'm just not that same person. And so in relationships, you kind of move around like that. And that's okay. You're supposed to grow. You're supposed to evolve. You're supposed to change. You're supposed to mutate. That's the natural order. That's something that's natural. You know what I mean? In relationships. So at the end of the day, sometimes when you grow apart. You know what I mean? You grow apart from your spouse or your lady or your guy. You guys grow apart. You're changing, you're evolving, and you grow apart. And so before you know it, you've been in a relationship for, a year, 2 years, 3 years, and you start changing, you start growing, you start evolving, you start learning and picking up on information, and it changes you and it molds you and shapes you into somebody that's different. And before you know it, you know what I mean? Your partner doesn't know you anymore. You know what I mean? Your partner doesn't know who you are. And so that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about when those things happen and what you do in order to get it back. So So people change in relationships in the myriad of ways. You change physically, you change emotionally, you change sexually, um, and you change spiritually as well. So what happens is, so over the course of a relationship, you could change physically. Like I've seen couples where, the brother in the relationship, might have been a certain size. He might have been, overweight. And then over the course of the relationship, he starts to focus on his body. He starts to focus on, changing his body type, getting in shape, eating right, moving around, exercising, doing things like that. And before you know it, this brother who might have came into the relationship at 300 pounds or, you know, 270 pounds or whatever. Now, all of a sudden, this brother's 210 pounds. He's ripped. You know what I mean? He's cut up. His body type has changed. And so the relationship changes. So now, he's in different spaces. He's in different places. People who never checked for him before are checking for him now. And so that can affect the relationship. You know what I mean? Rightfully so. There are women on the same side of the fence. A woman might have been, on the plus side of the game, and then all of a sudden, she gets focused on her weight. She starts eating better, starts working out, and then all of a sudden, she goes from a size 16 to a size 6. And so now, people who have never really checked for her before, opportunities that were never there for her before, now all of a sudden these opportunities are popping up out of nowhere. And if you're not in a situation where you're able to deal with that or able to handle that as their partner, then that could cause a wedge in the relationship. And honestly, I think that with the whole Derek Jackson situation, I think that that played a part in their relationship, because if you know anything about Derek Jackson and his wife, if you follow him, um, you know, ever since this whole scandal came out with him, having multiple, affairs on his wife, and people start putting out evidence and stuff like that, start putting his energy out there. I mean, start putting his business out there in the streets. Um, you've seen pictures of this brother. People have put up his football stats from college. You know what I mean? This brother played football, and um, he had one catch for he had one catch for like 11 yards his entire football career. You know what I mean? His entire career, that's all he had. You know what I mean? So he's out here as this football guy. He's not really moving the needle, so to speak, and he's just a regular guy. He's not that in shape. You know what I mean? I've seen older pictures of him where he's just, he's just another guy. He's not anything that, women would fight each other over or, risk it all to be with or whatever. And so over the course of time, he started putting out his content, started doing what he was doing. And then all of a sudden now he's blown up. You know what I mean? So he changes his body. You know what I mean? He's in the public eye now. He's moving and shaking in different places and spaces. And now his energy is different. And so he's attracting people that he never attracted before. He's getting deals on the table. He's getting offers for certain things that he's never been able to get before. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, he didn't really bring his wife along with him for the ride. And so when you don't bring your lady or your guy or your spouse or whatever, when you don't bring them along for the ride as you ascend and mutate and go through different phases in your life, it can create a wedge. You know what I mean? And when that All right, I think we good. I think we're good now. All right, my fault. I had to had some issues. I had some issues with my laptop real quick, but I think we back at it now. So I'm not sure where I left off. I'm not sure the last thing y'all heard from me, but so I'm gonna kind of go back a little bit. All right. So a lot of times, you know what I mean, when you're in a relationship, right? You're in a relationship, it changes. You know what I mean? It's like a tide. All right. It ebbs, it flows, you know, it's high, it's low, it's good, it's bad. You know what I mean? You have times in your relationship where your money's right. You have times in your relationship when, you know, your money's a little bit off. You know what I mean? All that good stuff. So we all know this. You know what I mean? This isn't really anything new. You know what I mean? As it relates to relationships, they change, they mutate. You know what I mean? They kind of move around. So a lot of times when, you know, you go through certain situations and if you're not paying attention, you could grow apart. You know what I mean? You could grow away from your partner. You know what I mean? And before you know it, you don't even recognize your partner anymore. You know what I mean? There's somebody that you don't even know. Like you've been in a relationship with them for an extended period of time, and then before you know it, because the relationship has kind of progressed and this person is growing and they're evolving and they're doing different things, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, you know, you don't even know who they are anymore. You know what I mean? It's like being in a relationship with a stranger. And so you can do that on multiple levels, whether it be physical, whether it be emotional, whether it be spiritual, and whether it be sexual as well. So physically, you know what I mean? You, like I said before, you change. You know what I mean? Change is good for the most part in a relationship. You're supposed to change. You're supposed to evolve. You're supposed to become a different person, a better person over the course of your life. I've been married almost 15 years. August will be 15 years of marriage. Great. Love it. Best decision I ever made in my life. You know what I mean? And I'm not the same person today that I was 14 years ago. You know what I mean? I'm not the same person today that I was 14 months ago, 14 days ago. You know what I mean? I'm constantly growing. I'm constantly reading things. I'm constantly being in the presence of intellectual and intelligent people, and so they kind of shape me and mold me into the man that I am today. So I'm constantly changing. I'm constantly mutating, evolving, growing, all of that good stuff. So I'm not the same person that I was before, and so I'm not the same person that my wife married. And if I don't take her along for the ride, if I don't incorporate her in certain aspects of my life, you know, we're going to become strangers in our own relationship. You know what I mean? And that's what you see today. So just on the physical side, right? So, you know, you could be somebody, I've seen people who are in relationships, right? And they're in these relationships and like, let's say they started off dating and the brother was, you know, on the heavy side of the game. He could have been, you know, 280, 300 pounds or whatever, even if he held it right, even if it sat right on him. You know, he came into the game, you know, on the husky side. He might have been the big brother, you know what I mean? But then over the course of the relationship, he figures out, well, you know what? Let me start eating right. You know what I mean? Let me start exercising a little bit. Let me start changing and things like that. Let me start focusing on my health. And before you know it, this brother who was, you know, 300 pounds, 280 pounds and stuff like that, now all of a sudden, this brother is 220 pounds, 215 pounds. He's chiseled up, you know what I mean? And he's put in situations that he's never been in before. He has people checking for him that have never checked for him before. You know what I mean? Opportunities are now put on the table that were never on the table before. You know what I mean? And if he's not careful, if he doesn't move a certain way, if he doesn't incorporate and bring his wife into this newness that he's created for himself, he could find himself, you know, growing apart. You know what I mean? Same thing. I've seen it on the other side too. I've seen ladies who were, you know, size 16, size 18s in a relationship when it first started. The brother was dating her. He was cool with it. He was cool with her being a 16, 18, whatever. Then all of a sudden, she started, you know, meeting people online, and she started getting with Sasha, you know, my sister Sasha out there, who, you know, who's a weight loss coach and all of that. And she starts losing weight. She's exercising now. She's changing her diet. She's plant-based. So now she goes from a size 18 to a size 8. You know what I mean? And so men that never looked at her before are looking at her now. You know what I mean? Opportunities that were never there before are presenting themselves to her now. And if she doesn't understand how to incorporate her boyfriend or her husband into this newness that she's created for herself, it could cause a problem in a relationship. You know what I mean? I've read studies where people who've had weight loss surgery, people who've had, the bariatric surgery, whatever, the sleeve, or, you know what I mean, or the other surgery, I can't, think of it off the top of my head. But when they're in relationships, they have to get counseling, because the counseling is for, your partner not necessarily understanding how to deal with the fact that your body's changed, that you're different now, that you're wearing different clothes, that people who were never attracted to you before are all of a sudden checking for you now, attracted to you now. And so that can psychologically and emotionally damage your relationship if you're not ready for it, if you don't know how to move and operate, within that situation. You know what I'm saying? So it's real. So you can change on the physical side of the game, over the course of a relationship. And if you don't know what you're doing, if you're not communicating and incorporating your partner in some of the things that you're doing, you can grow apart just off of the physical changes, that you've had in your relationship. So over the course of a relationship, people, as they get older, as they, ascend through life and travel through life, they can change on the sexual side of the game. You know what I mean? The older you get, you know what I mean, and the more you study and understand certain things, your body changes. Your sexual appetite, your sexual energy changes. Matter of fact, I had a sister on the show. My sister Sheena V. She came on and she did a show. We did a show about accountability, and I did a show on her podcast about what men want, and that not being something that women really know or understand. And so that sister is an author, and she's into erotica. You know what I mean? If you listen to her podcast on Owning she's into erotica. She's into, sexual energy and all that. She's an author. She's written, she wrote a book about it. The content on her platform, on her podcast, a lot of it is femininity based, but it's sexual based in nature too. She's had porn stars come on the show and talk about, sexual energy and how to do certain things in the bedroom and stuff like that. So if you're somebody over the course of time and you're in a relationship, right, and you come into contact with a Sheena V, or you come into contact with somebody like her, or you start picking up certain books and you start getting in certain groups in Facebook and things like that, and you start getting curious, sexually about certain things, and you try to bring it back to your partner, or you don't really communicate it to your partner, but you just get hype off of it, all this new information that you learned, and you get excited about some things that you've overheard and books that you read and podcasts you listened to. And if, you don't kind of bring your partner up to speed with some of this stuff, you can grow apart sexually. You know what I mean? So you come into the bedroom all excited, wanting to try these new things that you heard Sheena talk about, or that you read in a Zane book, or that you overheard in a conversation on a post on some, private group on Facebook or whatever. And you try to bring that and incorporate it into your bedroom, and your partner's not on that. You know what I mean? You haven't really kind of eased them in it, or communicated it to them in certain ways, forms, and fashions. And so now you're growing apart, because you've grown into this person that might be a little bit more sexual, a little bit more sensual and erotic. You know what I mean? And your partner's not up for that. So now, both of y'all are really unfulfilled. And so you're growing apart because you're unfulfilled, because you want to try these different things and your partner's not down for it. So you unfulfilled. And then your partner's looking at you like, okay, I thought everything was good in a relationship. I thought our sex game was proper. It was on point. You talking about bringing, Candy Burris straps up in here and all kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Now you're making me feel insecure because I thought we were good. And now you're doing this and it's making me feel, or it's making them feel a certain way. You know what I'm saying? So over the course of your life, man, you can change. You know what I mean? You can change physically, you can change sexually. And if you're not on the same page with your partner, if y'all not communicating, if you're not bringing things to them and kind of laying it out on the table and communicating it in a way that they can understand, you can grow apart. You know what I mean? You can grow apart intellectually. Like I said before, or matter of fact, you can grow. Okay, let me do the spiritual side first. So you can grow apart spiritually. You know what I mean? Like I said before, I've been married almost 15 years, right? So I'm not the same person that I was 15 years ago. My religious beliefs are not the same. You know what I mean? And like I said before, change is not a bad thing. There are certain foundational principles in a relationship, right? Or foundational principles to you as a man or as a woman that you should never change. You know what I mean? You should always be honest. You know what I mean? You should always stand on certain principles. But there are other things in your life that, when you come into contact with certain people or certain information, you know what I mean? That's going to change who you are as a person. That's going to change who you are as a person. I see you, sis, what's going on? So I'm the type of person that when I get some new information, right? When somebody gives me something, when I watch a video, when I listen to a brother or sister speak to me and there's truth in what they're saying and they can back it up with facts, I have to absorb that information. And it's going to change my perception on certain things. There are other people out here who are like, look, I believe what I believe on the spiritual side of the game. And there's nothing that you can do or say that's going to change that for me. Period. You know what I mean? You can bring facts. You can bring all the African spirituality you want. You can bring me all the information, from Kemet that you want. You know what I mean? You can bring me all the history books about the Nicene Council and, you know what I mean? And, 325 AD. And you could bring me all this stuff about, religion and spirituality and all of that. And I believe what I believe. So I don't care. You know what I mean? I'm going to rock with what I believe, period. But that's not who I am as a man. So when I learn different things, when I come into contact, like with people like, my sister Indira, my sister Shantina, other people, my man Gabe, Ultimate Black Man Radio, when I come into certain contact with people and I get information, and it's factual and I can go find it and it's true, you know what I mean? That's going to change my perception on things. And so the point I'm trying to make is this, is that even on the spiritual side of the game, you can grow apart from your partner because, as you grow and as you evolve and as you read and as you come into contact with different people and different information, it's going to change. I don't have the same spiritual beliefs that I had when I first met my wife. You know what I mean? I don't have the same level of understanding spiritually than I had 5 months ago, 5 weeks ago. You know what I mean? And so that can cause a wedge in a relationship. You know what I mean? Because when you get into a relationship, it's like, okay, it's understood. This is who we are. This is what we believe. This is how we look. This is how we feel. And over the course of time, that's going to change. You know what I mean? It's going to change. My perception of certain of things change. Even within, like, for example, even within Christianity, even within the church, as I got older and I became an adult, like when I was a child, I had a childlike view of the church. I had a childlike view of religion and spirituality. You know what I mean? But then when you become older and you kind of incorporate yourself into these institutions, you'll realize that they're businesses. They're run just like businesses because that's exactly what they are. You know what I mean? When you become a steward, when you become a trustee, when you get access, behind the scenes that the average everyday person who goes to the church doesn't see, it changes your perspective on the church. You see people differently. You know what I mean? You see them be cutthroat. You see them make decisions that really don't make sense, that don't have any type of spiritual or religious base to them. It's just because, this is who they are and this is what they want. You know what I mean? On a personal side, on a business side. You know what I'm saying? So it changes your perception. So you grow and you evolve. I've come into contact with so much information just on the religious side of the game. And it shook me to my core. And so if you're not communicating certain things with your partner, if you're not communicating certain things with your spouse, it can create a wedge in the relationship. Y'all spent the first 2-3 years of y'all marriage or y'all relationship going to church every week, front row, Bible study, all of that. Then you come into certain information, and now it's like your whole perception of it's changed. And if your partner's not on the same page, it can create a wedge. And your partner's looking at you, like, who is this person? I don't know who they are. I see you, Sasha. Soul love. So, if you're not communicating at the end of the day, if you're not incorporating, your partner or your spouse into this newfound energy that you're on, this new level that you're on, this new information that you've read and kind of understood and applied to your life, if you don't really incorporate them and communicate, it's going to be a situation where it can create a wedge in your relationship. You know what I mean? And if you don't handle it the right way, there's some good people that were married, that were in great relationships, and they just grew apart. You know what I mean? They started, dealing with different people. They started learning different information. They started moving in different circles. And before you know it, their partner's like a stranger to them. You know what I mean? And like I said before, before I had to, go out and go back in, that's exactly what I think happened to Derek Jackson in his relationship. You know what I mean? We all know what's going on with the brother, and, he was cheating and all of that. And, he got outed or whatever. And, he's kind of dealing with that and all of that. But at the end of the day, I really think that's what happened to that brother. I really think that he was a regular guy. I think he was going to Tennessee State playing football. You know what I mean? He wasn't really moving the needle on the football field. He played 4 years of college football, and he had 1 catch for 11 yards. He has 11 more yards receiving than I do. And I never played college football. You know what I mean? So he was a regular guy. You know what I mean? He just was a regular guy. He was dating his wife. At the time he was with her in college, he was in the band. You know what I mean? Most dudes who pop it like that on the football field, they're not dating the chick who played the tuba. You know what I mean? So he was just a regular brother. You know what I mean? He wasn't really even cut up like that, physically. He was just a regular brother, like I said. And then he changed his image. He changed his body. He started putting out content. He started blowing up. You know what I mean? He goes from 1,000 subs to 100,000, and he's got books on the table, and you know what I mean? I see my man Gabe in here. Shout out to G Ultimate Black Man Radio. So I think that's what happened to the brother Derek. You know what I mean? He was a regular cat. Then he changed his body. He started putting out content. He blew up overnight. Now all of a sudden, you know what I mean? He's successful. He's got books on the table. He's got speaking engagements on the table. And he's not incorporating his wife in any of this newfound success. So he's traveling all over the country, you know what I mean? Signing books, doing lectures, putting out content, and he's not incorporating his lady into any of that. So all of a sudden, it's like she's a stranger now. She don't really understand, the moves that he's making, because he's not really including her in these moves. And so now a wedge is drawn. So now he's looking at it like, okay, she doesn't even really understand what I'm going through, this pressure and making all this money and moving and traveling. He thinks the ends justify the means, because he's bringing money home. He's got mansions now. He's got big body cars now. He can rent yachts now. You know what I'm saying? So he's not really open and honest with his lady. He's not incorporating her in this newfound success. You know what I mean? He's not bringing her in. He's not bringing her on these speaking engagements. Like, yo, this is my lady. You know what I mean? He's not putting pictures up when he's on yachts and he's doing, all this type of stuff, and he's not incorporating his woman into any of that. You know what I'm saying? So that created a wedge in the relationship, and that wedge opened it up for him to go out here and do what he was doing, and it caused friction in their relationship. They fighting. They don't see eye to eye on anything. So he's like, you know what? I'm out. I'm quitting. She don't get me. She don't understand what I'm doing. Let me go out here and get my swagger back and go deal with these women. You know what I mean? I see you all heart was good. Yeah. So if you're not careful, man, your relationship, you guys can grow apart. We talked about growing apart on the physical side. I'm glad my sister Sasha's here, because, she did a room on Clubhouse or just talking about how, how different the dating game is for people once they lose weight. And I was just talking about that before Sasha came in, that even when you're in a relationship, you're in a marriage, you know what I'm saying? A brother could be 300 pounds and kind of sloppy with it. Then he get focused on his health. He start eating plant-based. He starts working out. Now that 300-pound brother is now 205 pounds, and he's all cut up. You know what I mean? And now the energy is different. And he's not really incorporating his lady into what he's doing. He's not really bringing his newfound, information and his newfound lifestyle home and incorporating her into it. So like she's distant now. She's separate from this new him. So he's hanging out with people who working out. He going to the gym. He'd rather hang out with the people he work out with instead of coming home to his wife, instead of coming home to his lady. You know what I mean? So now all of a sudden, and now because his body's changed, he's getting people looking at him that never looked at him before. He's getting women checking for him that never checked for him before. And he's not incorporating his wife into his new lifestyle. And so it's creating a wedge, and then they grew apart. You know what I mean? So we talked about it on the physical side of the game. We talked about it on the spiritual side of the game. You learning new information spiritually. A lot of us, we grew up Christian. We grew up Church of God in Christ. We grew up AME. We grew up all these different denominations. And then we grow up and we go to college, or we started meeting different people, and we started getting this information. We watch Hidden Colors. We start studying Dr. Ben and Dr. John Henry Clark and all these people. And you understand where some of this stuff on the religious side of the game come from, and it shakes you to your core. And now you're looking at your wife like, I can't even really give her this new information. I can't even really communicate with her on that level, because she's still that same woman that I used to go to church with when I first met her every Sunday. She's singing the choir. She's a deaconess. You know what I mean? She's a apostle. You know what I mean? How am I come to her and talk about some stuff that I read, you know what I mean, from Dr. Ben? You know what I mean? How can I talk to her about some information that I saw on Hidden Colors that I verified and found out to be true? You know what I mean? How can I do that? How can I talk to her about the Browder files? You know what I mean? About Tony Browder and what he found in Egypt, being an Egyptologist and going out there on excavations and digging and all the information that he's found out. How can I tell my husband that? How can I tell my wife that when they know me as this church person? They know me as this person that sing in the choir, that's a deacon, that's a minister. How can I communicate with them? So that's creating a wedge. You know what I mean? So you grow, if you're not careful, you know what I mean? You're going to grow naturally. We're all going to grow. None of us are in the place that we were 5 years ago. We all know new information. We all know different people, and it changes us. And so if you're not careful, you can lose out on a good situation because you've changed into somebody different, and you're not really sharing that change with your spouse or with your lady or with your dude or in your relationship. You're kind of keeping it separate. Maybe you don't know how to do it. You know what I mean? Maybe you're afraid to have a conversation like that because you don't know how they're going to take it. We talked about it on the sexual side of the game too. I'm going to kind of go back to that real quick for people who just came in. You can change sexually. Like I said before, I had a sister on the show, Sheena V, the Owning She podcast, dope sister. She had me come on her show. I met her on Clubhouse. She said, Frank, I want you to come on my podcast, do some content with me. I said, bet. After we did, I said, yo, I got to have you on my show. We're going to talk about accountability and relationships. She came on the show. It was fire. You know what I mean? Sheena V is into eroticism. She's written books about eroticism. Her podcast is about femininity, but it's also about sexual energy too. She had a porn star on her show talking about, ways to, sexually please your spouse or your man or whatever. So she's into that. So you could be in your relationship and you could think your sex game is okay. And then you come into this new information, you meet a Sheena V, you start reading some books, you start getting into some of these groups on Facebook where they're talking about, sexual energy and all this type of different stuff. And you get intrigued by it. You into it now. You know what I mean? And so you're not really bringing that to your lady like that. Or you're not bringing it to your guy like that. You know what I mean? Or you do it in a certain way that throw them off. So you get all enticed and you get all excited about what you learn. You go to your partner like, yo, I want to try this. You know what I mean? I want to do that. And it's throwing your partner off because they're like, well, where you getting this from? You know what I mean? Are you cheating? All of a sudden, we've been in a relationship for 5 years and you want to do something different. I thought what we were doing was fine. You know what I mean? Everybody was good. Everybody was falling out sleep after it was over. Now you're talking about doing different stuff. Where is this coming from? What are you saying to me? Are you saying I'm not good enough? Are you saying you losing interest? You know what I mean? Are you saying you met somebody else and somebody else did something to you and now you want to try to bring it home? You know what I mean? So you can change sexually. And if you're not on point, if you're not careful, you could lose out on your relationship because you've changed into somebody that your partner, your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your fiance, whatever, you've changed and morphed into somebody that they don't know and that they don't even know that they can connect with. You know what I mean? It's crazy, man. I'm telling you, like, I'm not even talking about even on the porno side. I'm just saying you might read a book. You know what I mean? You might get into some of these groups and they talking about these sexual things and all of that. And you're like, wow, like this is dope. Like I want to try that. You know what I mean? I'm curious. I want to see how that works on my wife, or I want to see how that works on my dude or whatever. And you come at them and they're like, yo, what are you talking? Like, where's this coming from? Now they shook. Now they scared. Now they don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? And all you doing, you excited because you like, yo, I want to bring this new information to my spouse or to my partner because I want to share it with them. I want them to share in this new person that I've become because in my mind, I've become better. You know, I have more information. I verified it. I want to try it. I want to incorporate it in my life. And now I'm scared to bring it to my, to my partner. How they going to take the fact that I'm now on the inside in my core, I'm more focused on African spirituality than I am on Islam or Christianity or Judaism. How are they going to take it that, I've been reading these books and I want to try all this different sexual stuff and all of that. How are they going to take that now? You know what I mean? Intellectually, I'm different. When I met my wife, I was heavy on the Democrat side of the game. You know what I mean? I was, my wife and I met Barack Obama. We were in downtown DC. We were at, I think it was a Morton's or a Ruth Chris. We were down there celebrating my mother-in-law's birthday. And this was around like 2007, 2008. And we down there in Ruth Chris or whatever. And my mother-in-law, we celebrating her birthday. Like I said, she has a little crown on for her birthday. You know what I mean? And this brother walks up and he's like, what's the occasion? And we're like, yo, it's my mother-in-law's birthday. So he gave my mother-in-law a hug, happy birthday to you, enjoy your dinner, all that, walked off. That was Barack Obama. That was Barack Hussein Obama that did that. He wasn't the president at the time. I don't even know if he was running at the time. It might have been like right after he did the Democratic National Convention or whatever, when he had the speech that got everybody hype about him running and set the stage for him to run. But I was a big time Democrat. You know what I mean? Back in the day. That's a true story. Like my wife in here, my mother-in-law, like if I had her up here, she'd tell you, she verbatim. You know what I mean? He was right. He was a senator at the time. But I think he had just did that speech at the Democratic National Convention that had everybody like, who is this young brother? That set the stage for him to run and become president. You know what I mean? He was no more than 2 feet from me. Hugged my mother-in-law and everything. You know what I'm saying? But my point is, at the time, I was a big time Democrat. I was all like, the Republicans are racist and, they rednecks or whatever. And black people who are Republicans are coons and all that. I was on that. You know what I'm saying? They sellouts, and I was on that. And then over the course of time, I started reading information, and I'm like, yo, man, like these Democrats really like they, you know what I mean? You start doing some history, you start reading and you start seeing some of these policies that have been hemming us up as black people. And you go back and look at it, and there was a lot of Democrats that put those policies on the table that got that stuff passed. You know what I'm saying? So my whole view on politics is different now. You know what I mean? I'm not a Democrat or Republican. I'm independent. You know what I'm saying? I'm independent. I'm not voting for somebody just because they're a Democrat. If a Republican candidate I feel like is the best for me, for my people, and are going to put more tangibles on the table, I'm voting for them. I don't care nothing about no Democrat. But at the time, when I met some of the people that I know now, when I first met my sister Indira, who's in the chat, I was big time Democrat, blew everything. I was cripping, you know what I mean, on the political side of the game. You know what I mean? You couldn't tell me nothing. But then I come into this new information. I start meeting people like my man Gabe. You know what I mean? Put me on a certain information. I start watching stuff. I'm watching Hidden Colors now. I'm reading books. I'm reading John Henry Clark. I'm reading Dr. Francis Cress Wilson. You know what I mean? I'm reading Dr. Phil Valentine. You know what I mean? I'm reading Dr. Kaba. So my whole viewpoint on life has changed now. So now I'm sitting here like, okay, what am I going to do in my home? My wife knows me as a Democrat. You know what I'm saying? We were excited when Obama won. You know what I mean? We were excited. And, you know, but I'm different now. My views are different because I know different. I know better. And because of the person that I am, I can't be enlightened and then turn the light off. You know what I mean? Some people do that. Some people get all the information in the world. Some people get all this information and they're like, look, I don't care what this information says. I don't care. Like, I believe in this and it's held me down for my whole life up until this point, and I'm going to ride with it. I don't care what you say, even though I know that what you're saying is true because I really can't disprove it. Some people are like that. I'm not like that. When I come into higher knowledge, when I come into enlightenment, when I come into new information and I verify and it's factual, I have to absorb that. And when I absorb it, it helps me, it mutates me to something different. You know what I'm saying? That's right. Like, look, I thirst for it. I thirst for knowledge. I thirst for information in every aspect of my life. I can't be enlightened in any area, on a physical area, metaphysically, spiritually, emotionally, none of that. I can't get enlightenment and stay the same. And so a lot of us are doing that. We're growing and we're evolving in these relationships. We're becoming somebody different, and we don't really know how to incorporate our partner into that relationship. So it's creating this wedge, and you know, it's causing a rift. And you look around and you're like, yo, I've been married to this person 10 years. I don't even know him. I've been dating this person 2 years and everything is good, but I don't even know her anymore. I don't even know him anymore. He's somebody else. The people he hangs around, the books he reads, and I feel left out. Or your lady feel left out because you reading all these books and you read Dr. Phil Valentine and you talking about metaphysics and all that. And she's like, what is this man talking about? Who is he becoming? And am I in his future and whatever or whoever he's becoming, am I going to be a part of that? So here's how you do it, right? So when you get to a point, right, in your relationship where you understand, look, you say, okay, things have changed. Things are different. You know, I don't know my partner anymore. All right, we've changed. I've changed. You know what I mean? I'm a sapiosexual. I'm learning. I'm building. You know what I mean? I'm becoming a different person. And people are afraid to change. The average person out here is afraid to change. You know what I mean? So what do I do? Because I don't want to just move on and be with somebody else. Like, I've invested time. I've invested a year, 10 years, 20 years in this relationship, in this marriage. And because I'm a different person, because I feel like I'm a better person, I believe that this is going to make my relationship better, but it's not really working out like that. Or my partner doesn't see it like that. You know what I mean? So what do I do now? So how do I get it back? How do I find my way back to my partner after we've grown apart? After we don't read the same books anymore. We don't watch the same TV shows anymore. We don't want to travel to the same places anymore. You know what I mean? We don't want to hang around the same people anymore. You know what I mean? How do we get it back? How do we find our way back to each other after we've grown apart? Because I don't want to lose it. I don't want to lose her. I don't want to lose him. You know what I mean? Even though we're different, the foundation of who they are, I'm still in love with. And I want to learn about this new person that they've become, because I don't want to lose it. I don't want to let it go. And I hope they don't want to let me go. So what do I do? What do we do as a couple? as a group, as a pair? What do we do to find our way back to each other? Bet. So one of the things that you have to do, right, to find your way back to each other is you have to make your relationship a priority. You know what I mean? And to go back to Derek Jackson, right? I don't think that when Derek Jackson made, when he made it, when he blew up, I don't think that he made his relationship a priority. Excuse me. I think he made his business. I think he made his money game a priority. And to a certain degree, you're supposed to, as a man, you're supposed to get your paper up. You're supposed to chase the bag. You're supposed to do these things. But in a relationship, particularly in a marriage, right? In a marriage, you have to make your relationship a priority. You want to find your way back. And so that's what Derek Jackson is learning right now. So he's learning that, okay, if he wants to keep his marriage together, if he wants to keep his wife, he has to make his marriage a priority now. So now he's posting pictures on Instagram with his wife and, talking about how sexy she is. No one ever knew this woman existed for the last 5, 6, 7 years. For the entire time they've been married. Nobody knew they exist. Nobody knew that she existed. Now, since he's been outed, now he's making his marriage a priority. So now he's doing videos with her. You know what I mean? Now he's posting his wife, putting her in dresses and she got heels on, and he's putting her out there now because he's making her a priority. Well, he's at a point where he don't really have to now. He got to do that or she gonna roll. But when you're trying to find your way back to each other, you have to make your marriage, your relationship a priority. Just speaking on the personal side of the game, regardless of what I'm doing or where I'm moving at in my life, I have to make my wife a priority. I have to include her in it. My wife ain't gonna get up here and do every show with me, but my wife has been on the channel. We've done a show together, and we'll do shows together in the future. You know what I mean? She supports what I'm doing. When I do these shows, she's in the chat showing love. You know what I mean? Whatever I'm doing, I'm making my household, my relationship a priority. So regardless of how successful I am or what avenues open up for me, what doors open up for me, we're going to walk through them doors together. You understand what I'm saying? Even though it was designed for me, you know what I mean? The person came to me and said, Frank, we want to do this with you. We want a joint venture with you. We want you to come in and do this. We want to pay you for that. We want to give you a bag for this. You know what I'm saying? Even though it was, my energy that might have gotten the deal signed and delivered, we're going to bear the fruit. And we're going to bear that fruit together. And she's not just going to bear it on the money side where the mortgage is paid and we can take some trips. She's going to be included in that because it's a priority. And you can't make decisions without considering your spouse. I'm talking about if you're married right now. If you ain't married, you know what I mean? We having a different conversation. You know what I'm saying? But if you married, you have to incorporate your spouse in the decisions that you make. And you have to make your spouse and your household a priority. That's how you get it back. All these things you're doing, they're great. You're a content creator, that's great. You know what I mean? You got your own business, that's great. I'm happy for you. You know what I mean? I'm proud of you. I hope you blow up. I hope you make $1 million. I hope you make $1 billion off it. You know what I'm saying? I really do. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to find your way back to your loved one, you know what I mean? If you're trying to find your way back to them, you got to make them a priority, period. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to rekindle that spark. You know what I mean? You got to sit back and really ask yourself and remember and just think, just ponder for a second about what brought y'all together in the first place. You know what I mean? What was it about her that drew you to her in the first place? What was it about him that drew you to him in the first place? And then find your way back to that. You know what I mean? Find your way back to that. I know that you have different interests now. You're doing different things. You know what I mean? You're moving in different circles. But what do you guys do that you both like? that you both find joy in. Get back to that. You know what I mean? Spend time with one another, man. Do things for each other. You know what I mean? That's how you get back. You get back to the basics. If you don't understand this woman no more, if you don't understand or recognize the person that she's becoming, get back to the basics. You know what I mean? Figure out what it was that got in the first place. There's certain foundational principles about her that are never going to change, regardless of what new information she comes into, regardless of what new people she comes into contact with. There's certain things about her life that she's just not going to change. There's certain things about you that she loves, and that's not going to change regardless of who she becomes. You know what I mean? So get back to that. Communicate more, talk, include your spouse or your lady, your guy, in some of the things that you're doing. When you come into contact with new information, share it. You know what I mean? Like, I remember watching Hidden Colors for the first time, Hidden Colors 1. It blew my mind. I was like, yo, this is dope. A lot of the stuff in the documentary I knew, but there was some of it that I didn't know. You know what I mean? And so what did I do? I said, you know what? My wife didn't grow up like this. My wife, when she grew up, she had no idea who Dr. Francis Cress Welsing was. And my wife was from DC. You know what I mean? Dr. Welsing was based out of DC. She passed away here in DC. Tony Browder is here in DC, the Browder Files. You know what I mean? Egypt on the Potomac. He's here in Washington, DC. There are a lot of dope brothers who put out real good information about Black people, about our culture, that are right here in Washington, DC. My wife wasn't raised like that. You know what I mean? She didn't really come into contact with this information. But when I came into contact with it, what did I do? I shared it with her. You know what I mean? I gave her the information and let her take it where she wanted to take it. And she and out of respect for her, just to show her love and respect, when I incorporated her into it, when I brought her in and showed her this information, she was like, wow, like, teach me more. What do you think about that? What do you think about what Dr. Phil Valentine said? Or what about this? Or, I never understood that. Or, I never really looked at it like that. So she was open. She was open to grow with me. You know what I'm saying? So that's dope. So you put yourself in a position where you share this stuff. I didn't watch Hidden Colors and I didn't read these books or have conversations with, my man Gabe about certain things and then say, I'm going to keep this to myself. You know what I mean? I didn't reach out to my sister, Sasha, and learn certain things about being plant-based and all of that and keep it to myself. I said, yo, what do you think about this? You know what I mean? Here's some information that I got. You know what I'm saying? And I passed it on to her. We watched it together. Now, every time a Hidden Colors come out, it will come out in the theaters. My wife and I, we would go together. We make it a date. I take her to go see Hidden Colors. It will play at the theater in Bethesda, Bethesda Row. We go out there. We watch Hidden Colors like 3, 4, and 5 when they drop. They came out there. 1804 was out there. Like Flex has a, he drops all this stuff at the same theater here in the DMV in Bethesda. And so every time it dropped, whatever he did, I would take my wife to go see it. We get a babysitter. We go see Hidden Colors. We go see 1804. When Buck Broken comes out, if it comes out in the theaters and the theaters are safe or whatever, or if it goes straight to DVD, we gonna watch it. It's gonna be a date night. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get a sitter. We're gonna sit, the sitter gonna take care of the babies real quick. We're gonna sit down, we're gonna have a date, we're gonna have some wine, we're gonna have some popcorn, whatever. We're gonna watch it and then we're gonna discuss it. And she always has a lot of questions for me, like wow, I didn't know this. You know what I mean? And we have conversations about it. So as I'm growing and as I'm evolving in certain things, I incorporate her in it. And when you incorporate her in it, and when you share it with her, when you share it with your partner, it's like, okay, I can, even if I don't understand it, I'm willing to listen. You know what I mean? Even if I don't understand it, even if I don't get it, you know what I mean? I'm willing, just out of respect for them, because they brought it to me. And it's something that they're passionate about. Because I love them, I'll listen. And if I have questions about it, I'll have questions. And in the midst of this new information and asking questions about it, we're bonding, we're building, we're coming together now. You know what I'm saying? So get back to the basics. Some of these relationships that y'all let go because y'all grew apart or whatever, a lot of times, you shouldn't have left those relationships. Y'all grew apart because you got this new information and you ran with it and you left your partner behind. You never turned around and extended your hand and say, look, this is what I learned. Let me bring it to you. Let's sit down over some dinner. Let's lay down in the bed after a good session and just talk about some of the information that I learned. You know what I mean? My man slid me this book, or my man sent me this YouTube video, that this brother did about African spirituality, or about politics, or about, sexuality, whatever. I ran into this information and this is what I learned. What do you think? And I'm really interested in it. I remember there was a time when I was trying to find my way, spiritually, religiously, and I was studying, a lot of different religions. I'm not going to sit here and say that I was claiming them, but I was studying them. And so even though I grew up Christian, I wanted to go to the mosque. I wanted to, I respect the brothers in the Nation of Islam, and I always wanted to go to the mosque, and but I talked to my wife about it. I was like, yo, this is something I want to do. I've been wanting to do it. One of my favorite teachers, Brother Nuri Muhammad, was coming to DC. He was coming to the mosque here in DC. He was going to speak. I wanted to go, whatever. Wife was like, bet. She ain't never been in a mosque in her life. Probably never heard a lecture from any of the student ministers in her life. But she was like, you know what? My husband want to go. So if he want to go and, get some information or whatever, I'm going to rock with it. Because that's what he's on. And if he's on it, I can support him. You know what I mean? Because he's not going to bring nothing to me that's suspect. So a lot of that's built in trust too. A lot of that, your relationship has to already be on solid ground, on solid footing. So relationships are going to change over the course of time, because you're going to change over the course of time. You might watch this video 5 years from now, and you're not going to be the same person that you are right now, 5 years from now. I hope I'm not. If 2026 come around and I'm the same person that I am now, I look the same, I think the same, I know I only have the same information, then I wasted 5 years of my life. It's natural to be enlightened. It's natural to ascend. It's natural to get new information. And it's natural to take that information, to take that knowledge, which is information, turn it into wisdom. The wisdom being that you took this information, this knowledge that you got, and the wisdom is you take it and incorporate it into your own life. That's the wisdom. And then you take that knowledge and that wisdom and you morph that into understanding. What is understanding? Understanding is taking this information and then taking that information and applying it to my life, changing my life based on the information that I got, and understanding it so much so to a certain point that I can give it out to people now. So I can learn about stocks. That's the knowledge. Then I can learn about it so much that I incorporate it into my life. I'm buying stocks. I'm on the stock market. I'm doing my thing. I'm getting my portfolio up. That's the wisdom. And then I do that so well that now I can come to y'all on this show. I can go to my brother or my sister and say, look, this is what I learned. And this is how I applied it to my life. And it's been working for me. My portfolio is solid. I got these stocks. I understand the market. I understand when to buy, when to sell, when to sit tight. And because I know that, and it's because it's been successful for me, now I can teach it to you. Now I can give it to you because I want you to have the information that I got. Because it's not enough for me to know it and apply it to my life. I want to give it to you. I want to give it to people that I love and respect and appreciate, because I want us to grow together. That's only natural. So make sure when you're on these travels, when you're ascending in life, spiritually, physically, sexually, emotionally, make sure you take your lady with you. Make sure you take your guy with you. Have conversations, communicate, talk. We're close enough to have sex every day. We're close enough to have sex all day long, but we're not close enough to talk. Talk. This is what I learned. And to be honest with you, I don't really know what to do with it. It's kind of scary because my whole life has been built around the information that I had before. Now that I have this new information, my whole world is blown up. I don't know what to do. Everything about how I was raised and how I moved was built on the knowledge that I knew before. Now I know something different, and I know it to be true, and it contradicts everything that my entire life was built on. So that could be scary for a lot of people, but communicate that. You'd be surprised, man. You'd be surprised, how your lady can hold you down, or she really supports you like that. If you come to her honest, put everything on the table, you know what I mean, and just open up to her, you'll be honest how she, you'll be surprised by how well she rides for you. And even if she doesn't, that's okay too, because now she's not it. And sometimes they're not it, and that's okay too. But this is about coming back together. This is about, you making all these moves in your life, you're changing, and you're not really bringing people with you. So now you go to bed every night with somebody that you don't even know anymore. There's a certified stranger to you. You don't really know them because you're not really trying to know them. You're not studying them anymore. You're doing other things. Incorporate them, man. You'll be surprised, man. You'll be shocked about how it turns out. You know what I mean? Just give it a chance, man. So these relationships, so some of the situations that y'all are in, it's going to happen at a certain point. I don't care who you are. I don't care how close you are. I don't care how much you love each other. At a certain point, these relationships are going to change. And you're going to look around and say, well, what happened? You know what I mean? I'm different. She's different. But work your way back together. Be honest. Communicate. Make your relationship, make your marriage, your situation a priority. Even in the midst of all this change and mutating that you're doing with this new information that you've picked up. You make sure your family, your household's a priority, y'all gonna be good. So on that note, man, I'm gonna say peace. I want to thank y'all, man, my family, for coming through. We had some technical issues early on, but y'all stood with me. Y'all held me down, so I appreciate that. And so I just want to show I just want to give y'all all the love and respect that y'all deserve for coming through, man, checking me out in the man cave, man, checking me out in the luxury lounge, checking out the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, y'all good people, man. I respect that, man. I appreciate that. I love y'all for that. You know what I mean? So, if I've given you any type of knowledge, wisdom, understanding that, you can apply to your life that you appreciate, just please like it. Like the video, comment, subscribe, share it. If you feel led to do so, I greatly appreciate that. If you want to support the channel, on the fiscal side of the game, on a monetary side of the game, you could do that as well. I am monetized here on YouTube, so the super chats are open. I do have Cash App and PayPal as well. There are people who hit me up on Cash App and PayPal, so I do have those as well. Cash App $ View from the Man Cave. And I'm on PayPal as well, paypal.me/View from the Man Cave. If you want to reach out to me, for a consultation, if you want to reach out to me, just to show me love, say, hey, Frank, man, I like what you're doing. Keep it up. Hey, Frank, I really had this topic on my spirit. I would love for you to kind of break it down and give me your opinion on it, whatever. If you want to reach out to me for mentoring sessions, I'm doing that as well. I had a sister reach out to me, multiple sisters reach out to me and say, hey, Frank, you're a good dude. You know what I mean? I've been following you for a while. I like how you move. And I would love for you to mentor my son. You know what I mean? Or I have a nephew, or I have a cousin that's really kind of out there. They got one foot in the street. They got one foot in the house. You know what I mean? I really think they could benefit from talking to you, so I'm doing that as well. So you can email me about that. I'll let you know my rates. We can schedule it. You know what I mean? Mentoring sessions, weekly, bi-weekly. Every 2 weeks, monthly. We could do it just like that. I have a brother that I met, who's in New Orleans. Sister reached out to me and said, "Hey, Frank, my son, man, I want you to tap into him, and I want him to tap into you, and have some good energy rub off." So, I reached out to her son. We talked, collectively, individually. And so now I'm mentoring her son. We do sessions all the time. He's in, he likes it. He told his mom, I really I like Frank. I want to keep this. I like Mr. Rivers. I want him to mentor me. I want to keep it going. I want to communicate with him. I want to build with him. He's a good brother. He's a good dude. So I've been doing that. So, so you can hit me up via email for that. Follow me everywhere. I'm on all social media platforms. Obviously, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. And I'm on Clubhouse. We have it popping on Clubhouse. Me and my team. Me, my man Gabe, Ultimate Black Man Radio, my sister Nicole Michelle, the Inner Beauty Movement, my sister Sasha's over there, a few other people, over there. We do a lot of rooms, we do a lot of dope content over there on Clubhouse. So if you're on Clubhouse, tap into me over there, tap into us, the team over there in my room, the luxury lounge, come through. But if not, then, if you get on it, if you tap into Clubhouse, just come look me up. But a lot of the content that I do on Clubhouse, I do it on YouTube as well. For the people that rock with me, that's not on Clubhouse, that don't have an iPhone or whatever, who don't want me to completely cheat on them all the way and go all the way to Clubhouse and stay over there. The content I do over there, I usually come over here and do it for those who are not on Clubhouse. So I don't leave anybody left out. I can't really leave YouTube out completely. Because my family, this is where I got my start. So I can't really completely abandon YouTube like that. So I got some content coming up. I'm going to interview a brother of mine next week. If y'all follow me on Facebook, you'll probably know who he is. We have a lot of mutual friends. So I'm gonna interview this young brother next week. I got some other shows coming up. I got a show about the heart and the habits of haters. I'm gonna do a show about that. I'm gonna do a show about the difference between privacy and secrecy in relationships. Is it good? Is it bad? All that good stuff. So I got another show that I want to do about hobbies versus hustles. A lot of y'all brothers out here, y'all think y'all hustling, but that ain't no hustle. That's a hobby. If it ain't making you no money, it's a hobby. And you wrong for that. Especially if you out here, you got a whole wife and kids, and you out here chasing hobbies and all that, spending the majority of your time, indulging in your hobbies that's not making you no money and your family struggling, bills is tight. You wrong for that. So I'm gonna do a show as well about, hustles versus hobbies. So y'all be on the check out, y'all be on the lookout for that. So, man, on that note, man, I just want to say peace, man. I love y'all, man. Y'all be safe. We're still in a pandemic, so wash your hands, keep your mask on, stay 6 feet away from me. And on that note, man, y'all have a good one. One.
The powers of alchemy. alchemy